Hello everybody! Today we're going to teach you some basic partner acrobatics. Partner acro is a fun and active activity to practice with friends and family. The skills in this video should be pretty doable for most levels, but remember to always take your time and use caution when trying new skills. When learning partner acrobatics, it's important to make sure you have some space to move, and something under you like a mat or soft carpet. You'll need a friend or family member to do the skills in this tutorial with you. The person that is on the bottom is usually referred to as the base and the top as the flyer. Eventually, you might want to decide whether you like being a base or a flyer better, but for these basic skills, you can try everything in both roles if you want. You may find it's easier if the smaller person is the flyer, but that's not always the case, and it's fun to try being both. For safety, partner acro is best done without socks. Bare feet are less slippery. Learning new skills can feel scary sometimes, and that's okay. However, if a skill is feeling unsafe, find someone who can spot you by standing nearby with their hands out and ready, or move on to the next skill and come back to that one later. We think that these skills are safe if you are practicing them in a focused manner. It is possible to get hurt if you are messing around, so pay attention to yourself and your partner and make an agreement that each other's safety is the #1 priority during your practice. One last thing before we get started. It's important to listen to your partner and make sure everyone is feeling safe. If anyone says down at any time, both people should immediately work to get everyone involved safely back on their own 2 feet. The most basic way to share weight is the partner lean. Stand toe-to-toe and hold each other's wrists in circus grip. Then lean away together, keeping your back straight and your shoulders down. If this feels comfortable, you can each release one hand and turn out to face the audience. Don't forget to smile. The trick's not over until you've come back to neutral and both people are standing with their own weight. Some common mistakes when performing this movement are sticking out the bum, pushing the stomach forward, or rounding the shoulders. Next, try leaning out with one person facing away. The person who's behind will have to lead the movement by gently pushing out and leaning back. Don't forget to help your partner back up to standing. Then switch roles and try again. Depending on weight and height differences, one person may have to lean back farther than the other to be able to share weight completely. Our next movement is back to back. Whoever's taller should slide down the partner's back until your hips are aligned. Walk your feet out a little and try to sit at the same time, pushing into each other's backs. The goal is to go down and back up again easily. A good drill to develop strength for partner acro and to learn how to share weight is partner push-ups. One person lays on their back and the other holds their hands and does a plank. Then take turns doing push-ups from this position. Some common faults while trying to perform this movement are when the top person, or the flyer, sticks out their bum or brings their elbows out too wide in an attempt to make the skill easier. It's better to just make your push-ups a little smaller until you've built up strength for the whole movement. Same thing goes for the base. Make sure you're keeping your elbows in and do smaller push-ups if you're losing control or are too wobbly. The first skill to work on is called airplane. You may have done this before with a family member or friend, but even if it's already familiar, don't skip it. it's a good opportunity to perfect the basics and tune up with your partner. First, place the base's feet parallel on the front of the flyer's hips. Next, hold hands and the flyer will lean forward like a board, putting all their weight on the base's feet. The base will pull their knees towards their chest and then push their legs straight. The flyer needs to squeeze their butt and lift their chest. If this position feels comfortable, you can try letting go of each other's hands. Reverse the movement to come down. Let's talk about a few common mistakes. If the base's feet are too high towards the flyer's stomach, or if the flyer isn't engaged enough, the flyer's legs will hang towards the ground. This can also happen if the base's toes are too pointed. If the base's feet are too low on the flyer's hips, or if the flyer doesn't engage their back muscles to lift their chest, the flyer's head and chest will hang down. In this case, it may also help if the base points their toes a little more. Next, we're going to work on a skill that I call whale. The base lays on their back and the flyer stands facing away with their feet near the base's shoulders. Then, the base puts their feet on the flyer's low back and holds onto their ankles. The flyer needs to lean back with all their weight on the base's feet. The base straightens their legs to push the flyer up while keeping hold of their ankles. When coming down, the base needs to make sure to help the flyer stand up by pushing with their feet. Otherwise, the flyer might lose their balance. Let's try box on box. For this skill, the person who is the base will be on hands and knees. The other person places one hand on each scapula or shoulder blade, shifts their weight forward onto their hands, and then puts one knee on each side of the base's low back. It's important to put your hands and knees to each side rather than directly on the base's spine, as this can hurt them. If this feels comfortable, working together, both people can shift their weight back to their knees and lift their hands up. We call this T-Rex. The last introductory skill that we want to show you is reverse box on box. The base lays on their back with their legs up at a 90-degree angle. The flyer stands with their feet to either side of the base's head and puts their hands right below the base's knees. The base puts their hands under the flyer's knees, and the flyer steps up one leg at a time. It's important for the base to push their arms all the way straight. Make sure that the flyer's shoulders are over the base's hips and their hips are directly over the base's shoulders so that you make one box shape. Try to keep your knees and hands hip distance apart. When you are ready to come down, the flyer shifts their weight towards their hips as the base gently lowers them to the ground. If this feels comfortable, the base can try straightening the opposing arm and leg. When doing this, both parties should focus on keeping their arms straight, their core tight, and straightening their legs all the way to maintain stability. Common issues with this skill include both parties having floppy feet, both parties making acute angles with their hips and knees, the flyer's legs getting too wide, and when both parties don't stay engaged in their shoulders. To do a thigh stand, the base and flyer stand toe to toe. The base bends their knees and presses their knees together. The flyer grabs the base's hands in circus grip and steps up onto the base's thighs like they would step on a stair. The base helps by pressing up into the flyer's forearms as the flyer stands straight up. Then both parties slowly lean away from each other, straightening their elbows all the way while keeping their shoulders down and back. To come down, reverse the movement and step down. You're not done until the flyer is back on their own 2 feet. The first time that you do this, the base should start sitting on their knees with their legs together. This will be easier and less scary for the flyer, but the skill is essentially the same as standing. Make sure as you lean away from each other that the flyer doesn't stick out their bum, arch their back, or forget to engage their shoulders. The next step is to do the skill with the base sitting on the edge of a chair or box. This will increase the difficulty for the flyer without making the base stabilize the skill just yet. Once the flyer stands up and you lean away from each other, then the base can slowly shift their weight forward and stand up. The flyer should focus on being tight and allowing the base to move them as they stand up. Sit back down on the box, then come down. If you are having success with that, you are ready to try it with the base standing. There are a few common issues we see a lot with this skill. Often the flyer leans back right away instead of standing straight up. They also tend to stick their butt out right when they are standing up. Another common issue is that they try to fling themselves up there rather than stepping up with control, or they never straighten up before they lean back. A lot of these issues resolve themselves if the base makes sure to help them stand up by pressing into their forearms and bending their knees a little bit more. A good drill that can help if the flyer is having a hard time getting up is for the flyer to stand straight up on a chair or box. The box should be the same height as the base's knees. Step up onto the box as quick and tight as you can without using momentum. Repeat a few times, then try to do the thigh stand again. To do a side lean, start standing side by side. The base comes into a wide sumo squat as the flyer places the inside edge of their right foot onto the base's outside edge of their right foot. The flyer lifts their right leg up in front of the base. The base grabs under the flyer's knee with their right hand and over the front foot with their left hand. Flyer, flex your foot as hard as you can to create a secure grip to the base's hand and wrist. Flyers focus on staying tight as a stick as bases slowly push them away. Bases lean away from their flyer to counterbalance the trick. When you're ready to come back, bases place the flyer's foot all the way on the ground. You can do this on either side, but usually one side will feel more natural. Often, bases mix up the hand grip on this skill, which feels really awkward for everyone. Another common issue is that flyers don't keep their core tight and try to maintain a sense of verticality. This doesn't look good and is harder for the base to balance. Sometimes flyers also stick out their bum when they do this. Flyers also have a tendency to be too loose on their first attempt. Luckily, this is a very safe skill to fail at. Bases, just remember to stay down if you lose control, and flyers, put your hands on the ground. Alright folks, that's it for this tutorial. We hope you are able to accomplish some new partner moves together and have a great time while doing them. You can find other tutorials and more on our Patreon page and by subscribing to our YouTube channel, as well as on our website popupmovement.com and on Instagram and Facebook at popupmovement. See you soon!